Hello. Now let's get on chapter number 6, Poets and Pancakes. This is a story, rather a narration by the author Ashok Mitran. He has transitioned from one subject to another and so on in a very lucid manner, at the same time taking us on a journey of the studios of films in the era of pre and early post independence. This particular chapter is named Poets and Pancakes with respect to the things happening at the film studio. In those days, like currently how we have Hollywood studios, we had studios who had the actors, actresses, lyricists, musicians, and all the technicians on their payroll. And they would work for their films only, unlike the current Bollywood scenario. So, the scene is stationed or plotted in Gemini Studios in Madras, the erstwhile city which we now know as Chennai. The story is plotted in 1940s, that is pre-independence era, when the movies were at their nascent stage in India. There was a brand of makeup named Pancakes, and it used to come in bulk to Gemini Studios. There was a specific makeup department on the upper story of the building which resembled the current day saloons. There were so many lights everywhere, and the actors, the actresses and all were given enormous amount of makeup. In the words of Ashok Mitran, if we say, they used to spoil their looks just by applying the makeups. But that was the requirement, as they had to perform in front of sharp or bright lights. The makeup department showed national integration. There was a Bengali makeup man who later on left for better opportunities. He was replaced by a Maharashtrian, and this makeup man was ably supported by an Andhraite. And then there were comedians and all sorts of people from all over India who were there in the makeup department, and that's why Ashok Mitran, the author, says that makeup department resembled national integration. He moves on to say that how it worked. The lead makeup artist was supposed to do the makeup of the lead actors. The second in line was supposed to do the makeup of the supporting actors. And this is how the hierarchy was created of the makeup artists and the heroes and the artists. There was an office boy in the makeup studio also. Though he is called a boy, but then he was actually in his early 40s. And his job was to do the makeup of the crowd, the lot of the people who would be participating in the shooting. He was someone who was always grumbling. He had come with an intention to become an actor, if not that, a writer, if not that, something else, but ultimately he landed himself into makeup department, which he had to do by compulsion, but not by the choice. And this grumbling he used to shower on Ashok Mitran, who was having a cabin with French windows through which others can see what he is doing. His job was actually to cut out the informations which could be utilized in the movies from the newspapers and to file them. To others, it seemed that he didn't have any work. So whatever work others would have, they would barge into his cabin and demand him to do that, which he did not like, as they did not understand the gravity of the work that he himself was doing. To top that, this office boy of ours used to come there and narrate all his things to him, to his dislike. But he used to bear with them. Then he moves on to the next person in the line, who was Subbu. He was number 2 in Gemini Studios. He was whole and soul after the owner of the Gemini Studios, that is Mr. S.S. Vasan. Subbu had a very good nature. He was very helpful. He had special knack for the film making. Had he been in some other roles, he would have flourished, but he was satisfied to be there in the Gemini Studios with his position. He could have become a hero, but then he was content by playing the supporting roles. But he did those roles so convincingly that many a times he used to outshine the main lead of the movie. That's how he was. He used to find out n number of ways of dealing an issue, and that's how he was very handy for all the departments. He was very generous. You can always find distant and nearby relatives at his place, stationed over there for their pursuit to get into the film industry. He would feed them, he would have them lodged at his home without thinking anything else. This is how he was. But still, he did have enemies. People thought that he is not doing justice to everything. Those who did not get the desired things, desired roles, considered him to be the culprit. And our office boy was one of them. Then the writer Ashok Mitran takes us into the storytelling department, where one character was there, that was the lawyer, the legal advisor. He was an odd man out as far as the attire was concerned. All those who were there used to wear khadi dhoti and a big coat on them, whereas our legal advisor used to wear pants and a tie, and that's how he was separate from others, different than others. And he used to look after the legal aspects of movie making. He had a role in culminating the life of an actress as far as film industry was concerned. And because of his unthoughtful act, the actress withdrew herself from the film industry, and a promising actress's career had died a premature death. That's how he was. Subsequently, it turned out to be that the storytelling department was shut down, and with that, the job of this particular legal advisor was also over. Then Ashok Mitran tells us what happened next, and next was that the troupe, the drama team, had come from England, and they were given a very nice platform at Gemini Studios. They performed 2 dramas and they ran for a month with the staff of Gemini Studios also watching the drama again and again. It was another case that they didn't understand much, but the dramas did create an interest in the people with the kind of meticulous arrangement that was done on the stage. And these things were taken up by Indian filmmakers and they were introduced in the filmmaking style also. So that was the contribution of this moral rearmament army which had come down to Chennai, erstwhile Madras, for this particular act. Then they had another visitor who was known to be a poet. Now at that time the people over there, they had heard about Wordsworth and likes, but they had never heard about anybody else. So they were wondering who this poet is. The poet came. S.S. Vasan gave an introductory speech which was not well received by anyone because neither S.S. Vasan nor the people were knowing what is going on. It was just a formal introduction that was given for the poet. The poet himself was baffled because he also could not make out what is going on. But the things were on and that's how the things went on. Then it turned out that the author came to know that he was also the editor of a magazine called Encounter. Now, the author also was an editor at one point of time. So that interested him, and since he had heard the name of this poet before, that is, the name of the poet was Stephen Spender. So when he had heard his name before and when he saw the name again, there was some connect established in his mind and he was interested in knowing more about the book. So for that he went to the British Library. At that time they used to get the things like that because no Google, nothing like that was available. Then he had read about one story writing competition, short story writing competition, and it had to be sent to England. So before getting into it, because it was a costly affair to send the draft abroad because the mail was very costly, so the author wanted to check it out who the people are. And there again he came across this person named Stephen Spender. So he moved on with that. Fast forward, Ashok Mitran had retired and he was doing his own jobs and then he was short of money. So he used to look around. He was an avid reader and once while he was passing by the street of Madras, he found some American books being sold on the footpath for 50 paise. They were the versions of the original. So he came across one book which had the write-ups from 6 eminent authors. And there again he came across the name of Stephen Spender. Out of his continuous following of Stephen Spender, he came to know that he was a communist. He followed communism and he propagated from communism. But that was not well received anywhere. And that also had died out. That's the end of the chapter actually. But what we get out of this chapter is how the working was going on in Gemini Studios, how the people perceived it, how an outside look was there for the Gemini Studios, how many relevant and irrelevant things happened over there, and the writer has produced all these things in a very humorous but satirical manner. That's the chapter Poets and Pancakes for you. Thank you.